The story begins with a heart-pounding scene. The humans' breath came in ragged gasps as they sprinted through the dense, alien forest. The air was thick with the scent of sulfur, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Behind them, a low, guttural growl echoed through the trees, sending chills down their spine. They didn't dare look back. They knew what was chasing them. It was the predator. The universe's deadliest hunter. A creature so feared that entire civilizations had fallen silent at the mere mention of its name. It had hunted the strongest, the fastest, and the most advanced species in the galaxy, and none had survived. Now, it had chosen a human as its prey. The human's mind raced. Why had it chosen them? They were no warrior, no scientist, no hero. Just an explorer, stranded on this cursed planet after their ship had crashed. But the predator didn't care. It was here, and it was closing in. A sudden roar shattered the silence, and the human dove behind a rock, their heart pounding. They could hear the predator's heavy footsteps now, each one shaking the ground like a drumbeat. They clutched their only weapon, a small, battered knife, and prayed it would be enough. But deep down, they knew it wouldn't. The predator was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its massive, shadowy form moved with unnatural speed, its glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. It wasn't just hunting them, it was toying with them, savoring the chase. The humans' thoughts turned to survival. They had to think, to outsmart this thing. But how? They were just one person, alone on a hostile planet, with no hope of rescue. As the predator's growl grew louder, the human made a decision. They wouldn't run anymore. They would fight. But as they stepped out from behind the rock, knife in hand, they realized something that made their blood run cold. The predator wasn't just hunting them. It was testing them. The human crouched low, their knife trembling in their hand. The predator's glowing eyes locked onto them, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The creature didn't attack. Instead, it circled them slowly, its massive form casting a shadow that seemed to swallow the light. The human's mind raced. Why wasn't it attacking? Was it waiting for something? Or was it simply enjoying the fear it instilled? As the predator circled, the human noticed something strange. The creature's movements were deliberate, almost calculated. It wasn't just a mindless beast, it was intelligent. Too intelligent. The human's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden noise. A faint beeping sound came from their wrist device, a piece of equipment they had salvaged from the crash. The screen flickered to life, displaying a series of alien symbols. At first, the human couldn't make sense of it. But as they focused, the symbols began to form a pattern. It was a data log, an old one, judging by the corrupted files. The human's heart skipped a beat. Could this be a clue? With trembling fingers, they accessed the log. The screen displayed fragmented text, written in a language they didn't recognize. But there were images too, grainy, distorted pictures of the predator. The human's breath caught in their throat. The images showed the predator in action, tearing through armies, destroying ships, and leaving entire planets in ruins. The text beside the images was brief but chilling. The hunter. The end of worlds. None survive its gaze. The human's mind reeled. This wasn't just a predator, it was a legend. A nightmare. And now, it was here, hunting them. The data log continued, revealing more about the predator's history. It had been around for centuries, maybe longer. No one knew where it came from or what it wanted. But one thing was clear, it always won. The human's thoughts were interrupted by a low growl. The predator had stopped circling and was now staring at them, its head tilted slightly, as if curious. The human's grip tightened on the knife. They had to think fast. If this creature was as intelligent as it seemed, brute force wouldn't work. They needed a plan. As the predator took a step closer, the human noticed something else. The creature's movements were slightly slower than before, as if it were conserving energy. Was it tired? Or was it waiting for the human to make the first move? The human's eyes darted around, searching for anything they could use to their advantage. The forest was dense, with towering trees and thick undergrowth. If they could lure the predator into a trap, they might stand a chance. But first, they needed to buy time. The human took a deep breath and stood up, facing the predator head-on. Their heart pounded, but they forced themselves to stay calm. "You want me?" they said, their voice steady despite the fear. "Then come and get me." The predator's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, it seemed to hesitate. Then, with a roar that shook the trees, it charged. The human turned and ran, their mind racing. They had to find a way to outsmart this thing. But how? As they sprinted through the forest, the human's thoughts turned to the data log. There had to be more information, something they could use. But where? Then, they remembered. The crash site. Their ship had been carrying a database, filled with information about the planet and its inhabitants. If they could reach it, they might find a way to survive. But the predator was close behind, its growls growing louder with every step. The human knew they couldn't outrun it forever. They had to act fast. As they ran, the human's mind began to piece together a plan. It was risky, but it might just work. They just had to survive long enough to try. The human's legs burned as they sprinted through the alien forest, the predator's growls echoing behind them. Every step felt like a battle, but they couldn't stop. Not now. Not when survival was on the line. As they ran, their mind raced back to the data log. The predator was intelligent, yes, but it wasn't invincible. There had to be a weakness, something they could exploit. The human's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden roar. The predator was gaining ground, its massive form crashing through the trees like a living storm. The human ducked behind a large rock, their chest heaving as they tried to catch their breath. They needed a plan, and fast. The human's eyes darted around, searching for anything they could use. The forest was full of strange plants and rocks, but nothing that seemed useful. Then, they noticed something, a cluster of vines hanging from a nearby tree. An idea began to form. The predator was strong, but it was also big. If the human could lure it into a trap, they might be able to slow it down. With a deep breath, the human stepped out from behind the rock and waved their arms, shouting to get the predator's attention. "Over here," they yelled, their voice echoing through the forest. The predator's head snapped toward them, its glowing eyes narrowing. It let out a deafening roar and charged. The human turned and ran, leading the predator toward the vines. As they approached, they grabbed a loose rock and hurled it at the vines, causing them to swing wildly. The predator didn't notice. It was too focused on its prey. As the human ducked under the vines, the predator followed, its massive body crashing into the tangled mess. The vines wrapped around its legs, slowing it down. The human didn't wait to see if the trap worked. They kept running, their mind racing. They needed to reach the crash site. As they ran, memories flashed through their mind, memories of home, of the people they had left behind. They thought about why they had come to this planet in the first place. It wasn't for glory or fame. It was for something much simpler, hope. The human had always been a dreamer, someone who believed in the impossible. They had volunteered for this mission because they wanted to make a difference, to prove that humanity could stand among the stars. But now, faced with the predator, they wondered if they had been foolish. No. They couldn't think like that. They had come this far, and they weren't going to give up now. The human's thoughts were interrupted by a loud crash. They turned to see the predator breaking free of the vines, its eyes blazing with fury. It was still coming. The human's heart sank, but they didn't stop. They couldn't. As they ran, they noticed something in the distance, a faint glow. It was the crash site. Hope surged through them. If they could reach the ship, they might find something to help them survive. But the predator was close behind, its growls growing louder with every step. The human pushed themselves harder, their legs screaming in protest. They were so close. As they reached the crash site, they saw the remains of their ship, twisted and broken but still intact. The database was inside, along with whatever supplies had survived the crash. The humans scrambled inside, their hands trembling as they searched for the database. They found it buried under a pile of debris. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. The human's heart raced as they accessed the files. There had to be something, anything, that could help them. As they scrolled through the data, they found it, a file labeled Planetary Defense Systems. The human's eyes widened. Could this be the answer? They opened the file, their hands shaking as they read through the information. It described a network of ancient alien structures scattered across the planet, designed to protect against threats. One of those structures was nearby. The human's mind raced. If they could activate it, they might be able to stop the predator. But there was a catch. The system required a key, a specific frequency that could only be generated by a living being. The human's heart sank. They were the key. As they processed this information, a loud roar shook the ship. The predator had found them. The human's grip tightened on the database. They had no choice. They had to try. With a deep breath, they grabbed a small device from the ship's console and ran outside, the predator's glowing eyes locking onto them. It was now or never. The humans stood at the edge of the crash site, the small device clutched tightly in their hand. The predator loomed before them, its massive form casting a shadow that seemed to stretch endlessly. Its glowing eyes burned with a primal hunger, and its low growl sent shivers down the human's spine. But there was no time to hesitate. The human activated the device, and a faint hum filled the air. The screen displayed a map of the area, with a blinking dot marking the location of the nearest alien structure. It wasn't far, but getting there would be a challenge, especially with the predator on their tail. The predator took a step forward, its claws digging into the ground. It was studying the human, as if trying to figure out their next move. The human didn't wait. They turned and ran, heading toward the structure. The forest was a blur as they sprinted, their legs burning with every step. The predator's roar echoed behind them, a constant reminder of the danger they were in. As they ran, the human's mind raced. The alien structure was their only hope, but they had no idea what to expect. Would it even work? And if it did, what would happen to them? The device in their hand beeped, signaling that they were getting closer. The human pushed themselves harder, their breath coming in ragged gasps. But the predator was relentless. It crashed through the trees, its massive form tearing through the undergrowth like a living storm. The human could feel its presence behind them, closing in with every second. They needed a distraction. As they ran, the human spotted a cluster of large rocks ahead. They veered toward them, their mind racing. If they could create a barrier, they might be able to slow the predator down. The human grabbed a loose rock and hurled it at the cluster, causing a small avalanche. The rocks tumbled down, blocking the path behind them. The predator roared in frustration as it slammed into the barrier, its claws scraping against the rocks. The human didn't stop to look. They kept running, their heart pounding in their chest. The device beeped again, louder this time. The structure was close. As they emerged from the forest, the human saw it, a towering alien monolith, covered in strange symbols and glowing with an eerie light. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a testament to the advanced civilization that had once called this planet home. The human approached the structure, their hand trembling as they held up the device. The screen displayed a series of symbols, matching those on the monolith. But before they could do anything, a deafening roar shattered the silence. The human turned to see the predator breaking through the trees, its eyes blazing with fury. It had found them. There was no time to waste. The human pressed the device against the monolith, and the symbols began to glow brighter. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with every second. The predator hesitated, its head tilting as if confused by the sudden change. The human's heart raced. Was it working? But then, the predator charged. The human braced themselves, their mind racing. They had come this far, and they weren't going to give up now. As the predator closed in, the monolith's hum reached a crescendo. A blinding light erupted from the structure, enveloping everything in its glow. The humans shielded their eyes, their heart pounding. What was happening? When the light faded, the human looked around, their breath catching in their throat. The predator was gone. But so was the forest. The humans stood in a vast, empty plain, the monolith towering behind them. The sky was a deep shade of purple, and the air was thick with an otherworldly energy. The device in their hand beeped, displaying a new message. "Welcome, Keeper." The human's mind reeled. Keeper? What did that mean? Before they could process the information, a voice echoed in their mind, a deep, resonant voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You have been chosen," the voice said. "The test begins now." The human's heart sank. The predator wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The humans stood in the vast, empty plain, their mind reeling from the voice that had spoken in their head. The words echoed in their thoughts, each one sending a chill down their spine. "You have been chosen. The test begins now." What did it mean? What kind of test? And why had they been chosen? The human's grip tightened on the device, their only connection to the alien structure. The screen still displayed the message, "Welcome, Keeper." Before they could think further, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The humans stumbled, their eyes darting around as the plane shifted and changed. The purple sky darkened, and strange shapes began to form in the distance, towering structures, jagged cliffs, and rivers of glowing liquid. The human realized they were no longer on the same planet, or at least, not in the same reality. This was a new world, one created by the alien technology. The voice spoke again, its tone calm but commanding. "To prove your worth, you must survive. The hunter will come for you. Outsmart it, and you will inherit the power of the ancients. Fail, and you will be erased." The human's heart pounded. The predator wasn't gone, it was part of the test. And this time, the stakes were even higher. As the human processed this, a familiar roar echoed across the plain. They turned to see the predator emerging from the shadows, its glowing eyes locked onto them. But something was different. The predator's form was more defined now, its movements sharper and more deliberate. It was as if the creature had been enhanced by this strange new world. The human's mind raced. They couldn't fight the predator, not here, not like this. They had to think differently. The device in their hand beeped, drawing their attention. The screen now displayed a map of the area, with several glowing points marked as safe zones. The human's eyes widened. Safe zones? Could they use these to their advantage? Before they could decide, the predator charged. The human turned and ran, their legs carrying them across the alien landscape. The ground was uneven, and the air was thick with an eerie energy, but they didn't stop. They couldn't. As they ran, the human glanced at the device. The nearest safe zone wasn't far, but getting there would require crossing a river of glowing liquid. The human's heart sank. They had no idea what the liquid was or if it was safe to touch. But they had no choice. The predator was close behind, its growls growing louder with every step. The human reached the river and hesitated. The liquid glowed a bright blue, and the surface rippled as if alive. Taking a deep breath, the humans stepped into the river. The liquid was warm, almost comforting, and it didn't seem to harm them. As they waded through, the predator stopped at the edge, its eyes narrowing. It seemed hesitant to follow, as if the liquid posed a threat. The human's heart leaped. They had found a way to slow the predator down. But as they reached the other side, the device beeped again. The safe zone was just ahead, but the screen now displayed a warning. Safe zone active for 60 seconds. Use wisely. The human's mind raced. They had 1 minute to figure out their next move. They sprinted toward the safe zone, a small dome-like structure glowing with the same blue light as the river. As they entered, the predator's roar echoed behind them, but it didn't follow. Inside the dome, the human found a console covered in alien symbols. The device in their hand beeped, and the screen displayed a new message. Choose your weapon. The human's eyes widened. A weapon? Could this be their chance to fight back? They scanned the console, their fingers hovering over the symbols. One of them glowed brighter than the others, and the human pressed it. A panel slid open, revealing a small, sleek device that looked like a cross between a gun and a tool. The human picked it up, feeling its weight in their hand. The device beeped again, displaying instructions. Energy pulse weapon. Effective against the hunter. Use sparingly. The human's heart raced. This was their chance. But as they turned to leave the safe zone, the voice spoke again. Remember, Keeper. The hunter is not your only enemy. The test is designed to challenge your mind as well as your body. The human frowned. What did that mean? Before they could think further, the safe zone's light began to fade. The predator's roar echoed outside, and the human knew they had to move. With the weapon in hand, they stepped out of the dome, their eyes scanning the landscape. The predator was waiting. But this time, the human was ready. The human stepped out of the safe zone, the energy pulse weapon gripped tightly in their hand. The predator stood a short distance away, its glowing eyes locked onto them. It let out a low growl, its massive form tense and ready to strike. But the human didn't back down. They raised the weapon, their finger hovering over the trigger. The predator charged, its claws digging into the ground as it lunged forward. The human aimed and fired, a burst of blue energy shooting from the weapon and striking the predator in the chest. The creature roared in pain, stumbling back. But it didn't fall. Instead, it shook off the attack and glared at the human, its eyes blazing with fury. The human's heart sank. The weapon had hurt the predator, but it wasn't enough to stop it. As the predator prepared to attack again, a sudden noise caught the human's attention. They turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows, a tall, slender alien with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. The alien raised a hand, and a beam of light shot from their palm, striking the predator and forcing it to retreat. The humans stared in shock. Who was this alien, and why were they helping? The alien turned to the human, their voice calm but urgent. We do not have much time, they said. The hunter is stronger here. We must work together if we are to survive. The human hesitated. Could they trust this alien? But before they could decide, the predator roared again, its focus now split between the human and the alien. The alien gestured toward a nearby cliff. There is a cave. We can make our stand there. The human nodded, their instincts telling them to trust the alien, at least for now. Together, they ran toward the cliff, the predator close behind. The alien moved with surprising speed, their long limbs carrying them effortlessly across the uneven terrain. As they reached the cave, the human noticed something strange. The walls were covered in the same symbols as the alien structure, and the air was thick with energy. The alien turned to the human, their glowing eyes filled with determination. This place is sacred, they said. The hunter cannot enter here. But we must be quick. The test is not over. The human's mind raced. The test? Was this alien part of it? Before they could ask, the alien placed a hand on the cave wall, and the symbols began to glow. A holographic map appeared, showing the alien structure and the surrounding area. The hunter is not just a predator, the alien explained. It is a guardian, designed to test those who seek the power of the ancients. To defeat it, we must understand its purpose. The human frowned. But why is it hunting us? What does it want? The alien's expression softened. It wants to see if we are worthy. Worthy of the knowledge, the power, and the responsibility that comes with it. The human's thoughts turned to the device in their hand. Was this what the voice had meant? Were they being tested not just for survival, but for something greater? The predator's roar echoed outside the cave, pulling the human back to the present. We need a plan, they said, their voice firm. The alien nodded. The hunter is vulnerable to energy pulses, but it adapts quickly. We must strike together, using everything we have. The human glanced at the weapon in their hand. It was their only advantage, but it wasn't enough on its own. What about you? They asked the alien. What can you do? The alien raised their hand, and a small orb of light appeared in their palm. I can disrupt its energy, but only for a short time. We must act fast. The human took a deep breath. They had no choice but to trust the alien. Let's do this, they said. The alien nodded, and together, they stepped out of the cave. The predator was waiting, its eyes glowing with a fierce intensity. It let out a deafening roar and charged. The human and the alien stood their ground, their weapons ready. This was it. The predator charged, its massive form barreling toward the human and the alien with terrifying speed. The ground shook beneath its weight, and its roar echoed across the alien landscape like a thunderclap. The human raised the energy pulse weapon, their hands steady despite the fear coursing through them. Beside them, the aliens stood tall, their glowing eyes focused and their palm radiating a soft, pulsating light. Now, the alien shouted. The human fired the weapon, a burst of blue energy shooting toward the predator. At the same time, the alien unleashed their orb of light, which streaked through the air like a comet. The two attacks struck the predator simultaneously, enveloping it in a blinding explosion of energy. The creature roared in pain, its massive form writhing as the light consumed it. For a moment, the human dared to hope. Had they done it? Had they defeated the predator? But as the light faded, their hope turned to dread. The predator was still standing. Its form was battered and scorched, but it was far from defeated. Its glowing eyes locked onto the human and the alien, and it let out a low, guttural growl that sent chills down their spines. The alien's expression darkened. It's adapting, they said. We need to retreat. The human nodded, their mind racing. They couldn't keep fighting like this. They needed a new plan. As they backed away, the predator began to circle them, its movements slow and deliberate. It was toying with them, testing their resolve. The human's grip tightened on the weapon. There has to be another way, they said. Something we're missing. The alien hesitated, their glowing eyes flickering with uncertainty. There is one possibility, they said. But it is dangerous. What is it? The human asked. The alien glanced at the predator, then back at the human. The hunter is not just a predator. It is a guardian, designed to test those who seek the power of the ancients. But it is also a key. The human frowned. A key? The alien nodded. To unlock the true power of this place, we must prove our worth not through strength, but through understanding. The hunter is a reflection of our own fears and weaknesses. To defeat it, we must confront those fears. The human's mind raced. Confront their fears? What did that mean? Before they could ask, the predator let out a deafening roar and charged again. The human and the alien scrambled to dodge, but the predator was too fast. Its massive claws swiped at them, narrowly missing as they dove to the side. The human landed hard, the impact knocking the breath from their lungs. They struggled to their feet, their body aching, but they didn't have time to rest. The predator was already turning, its glowing eyes filled with a primal hunger. The alien grabbed the human's arm, their voice urgent. "Listen to me. The hunter is drawn to fear. If we can let go of our fear, even for a moment, we can weaken it." The human's heart pounded. Let go of their fear? How? But as they looked into the alien's eyes, they realized something. The alien was afraid too. The predator roared again, its massive form looming over them. The human took a deep breath, their mind racing. They thought about everything they had been through, the crash, the chase, the endless struggle to survive. They thought about the people they had left behind, the dreams they had once held, and the hope that had driven them to this moment. And then, they let it all go. The humans stood tall, their fear melting away. They looked at the predator, not as a monster, but as a challenge, a test they were determined to pass. The predator hesitated, its glowing eyes narrowing. The alien noticed the change and followed the human's lead, their own fear dissipating. For a moment, the predator seemed confused. Its movements slowed, and its growl grew quieter. The humans stepped forward, their voice steady. "We're not afraid of you," they said. "We're ready." The predator let out a low growl, but it didn't attack. Instead, it began to change. Its massive form shimmered, the glowing light intensifying until it was almost blinding. The predator's shape shifted, its claws retracting and its eyes softening. And then, it was gone. In its place stood a figure, a humanoid shape made of light, its features calm and serene. The voice from earlier echoed in the human's mind. "You have passed the test." The human's heart raced. They had done it. But as the light faded, they realized something. This was only the beginning. The human stood in stunned silence, staring at the figure of light that had replaced the predator. Its form was humanoid but otherworldly, radiating a calm, almost peaceful energy. The alien beside them seemed equally awestruck, their glowing eyes wide with wonder. The figure spoke, its voice resonating in the human's mind. "You have proven your courage and resilience. But the final test remains. To inherit the power of the ancients, you must show wisdom and unity." The human frowned. "Wisdom and unity? What does that mean?" The figure's glowing eyes shifted to the alien. "You are not alone in this journey. Together, you must decide the fate of this power. Will you use it to protect, or to destroy? The choice is yours." The human glanced at the alien, their mind racing. They had only just met, and yet they had fought side by side against the predator. Could they trust each other now, with something so important? The alien seemed to sense their hesitation and spoke softly. "We have come this far together. Whatever lies ahead, we must face it as one." The human nodded, their resolve strengthening. They turned back to the figure. "We're ready." The figure raised a hand, and the ground beneath them began to shift. The alien landscape dissolved, replaced by a vast, starry void. In the center of the void floated a massive structure, a glowing, crystalline orb surrounded by rings of light. "This is the heart of the ancients," the figure said. "It holds the knowledge and power of 1,000 civilizations. To claim it, you must prove that you are worthy not just as individuals, but as partners." The human and the alien exchanged a glance. They had no idea what to expect, but they knew they had to work together. The figure continued. "The final test is simple. One of you must enter the heart and activate it. The other must remain outside and guide them. But beware, the heart will test your bond. If you fail, you will be lost forever." The human's heart pounded. This was it, the moment of truth. The alien turned to them, their expression calm but determined. "I will enter the heart," they said. "You must guide me." The human hesitated. "Are you sure? It's dangerous." The alien nodded. "I have faced the hunter before. I know what to expect. But I cannot do this alone. I need your help." The human took a deep breath. "Okay. I'll guide you." The alien stepped forward, their form glowing as they approached the heart. The crystalline orb pulsed with light, and a doorway appeared, inviting them inside. As the alien entered, the human felt a strange connection form between them. It was as if they could sense the alien's thoughts and emotions, a bond stronger than anything they had ever experienced. The figure's voice echoed in their mind. "The test begins now. Guide them well." The human focused, their mind reaching out to the alien. They could see through the alien's eyes, feel what they felt. Inside the heart, the alien was surrounded by swirling light and shifting shapes. The air was thick with energy, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to shift and change. The human's voice echoed in the alien's mind. "Stay calm. Focus on the light. It will guide you." The alien nodded, their glowing eyes scanning the environment. They moved forward, their steps careful and deliberate. But as they progressed, the heart began to test them. Walls of light appeared, blocking their path. The alien hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. The human's voice was steady. "Look for patterns. The heart is trying to confuse you, but there's always a way through." The alien studied the walls, their sharp eyes picking up on subtle patterns. They found a gap and slipped through, their confidence growing. But the challenges grew harder. The ground beneath the alien began to crumble, forcing them to leap from one platform to another. The human guided them, their connection growing stronger with every step. "Trust yourself," the human said. "You're stronger than you think." The alien nodded, their movements becoming more fluid and confident. They reached the center of the heart, where a glowing pedestal awaited. The human's voice was filled with urgency. "Activate it. But be careful, the heart will test your intentions." The alien placed their hand on the pedestal, and a surge of energy coursed through them. Visions flashed before their eyes, scenes of destruction and chaos, of power misused and lives lost. The alien's resolve wavered. Could they handle this power? The human's voice was firm. "Remember why we're here. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this to protect others." The alien's eyes glowed brighter, their determination returning. They focused on the visions, channeling their thoughts toward peace and unity. The heart responded, its light intensifying until it filled the entire void. The figure's voice echoed one last time. "You have proven your worth. The power of the ancients is yours." The light faded, and the human found themselves back in the alien landscape. The alien stood beside them, their form glowing with a newfound energy. The human smiled. "We did it." The alien nodded, their expression filled with gratitude. "We did it together." But as they celebrated, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The final challenge was yet to come. The ground beneath the human and the alien shook violently, the alien landscape shifting and crumbling as if the very world was coming apart. The sky above churned with dark clouds, and bolts of energy crackled across the horizon. The human's heart raced. What's happening? The alien's glowing eyes scanned the chaos, their expression grim. The heart's power is unstable. We must stabilize it, or everything will be destroyed. The human's mind raced. They had come so far, faced so many challenges, and now it all came down to this. What do we need to do? They asked, their voice steady despite the fear. The alien pointed toward the center of the landscape, where a massive fissure had opened, revealing a swirling vortex of light and energy. We must enter the core and channel the power together. But it will take everything we have. The human nodded, their resolve hardening. Then let's do it. Together, they ran toward the fissure, the ground cracking and splitting beneath their feet. The air was thick with energy, and the sound of thunder echoed in their ears. As they reached the edge of the fissure, the human hesitated. The vortex below was a maelstrom of light and darkness, a chaotic force that seemed to defy all logic. The alien placed a hand on their shoulder. Trust the bond we've formed. It will guide us. The human took a deep breath and nodded. They stepped into the fissure, the alien following close behind. The moment they entered the vortex, they were engulfed in a whirlwind of energy. Visions flashed before their eyes, scenes of countless worlds, civilizations rising and falling, and the endless cycle of creation and destruction. The human's mind reeled. They could feel the weight of the ancients' legacy, the responsibility that came with such power. The alien's voice echoed in their mind. Focus on the light. Let it guide you. The human closed their eyes, their thoughts turning to the bond they had formed with the alien. They could feel the alien's presence, a steady, calming force amidst the chaos. Together, they reached out to the energy, their minds merging with the vortex. The power surged through them, threatening to overwhelm them, but they held on, their bond growing stronger with every passing moment. The human's voice was filled with determination. We can do this. Together. The alien's response was calm but firm. Together. As they channeled the energy, the vortex began to stabilize. The chaotic light and darkness merged into a single, harmonious glow, and the ground beneath them stopped shaking. The human opened their eyes, their body glowing with the same energy as the alien. They had done it. The landscape around them began to change, the alien world transforming into a lush, vibrant paradise. The sky cleared, revealing a brilliant sun, and the air was filled with the sound of birds and flowing water. The alien smiled, their glowing eyes filled with gratitude. You have done what no one else could. The power of the ancients is now in your hands. The human's heart swelled with pride, but also with humility. They knew this power came with great responsibility. What happens now? They asked. The alien placed a hand on their chest, their form beginning to fade. Now, you must decide how to use this power. Protect the innocent, guide the lost, and honor the legacy of those who came before. The human's eyes widened. Wait, you're leaving? The alien nodded. My purpose has been fulfilled. But our bond will remain. Whenever you need guidance, I will be with you. As the alien's form dissolved into light, the human felt a surge of emotion. They had lost a friend, but they had gained something far greater, a connection to something beyond themselves. The human stood alone in the paradise they had created, the weight of their new responsibility settling on their shoulders. But they were not afraid. They had faced the universe's deadliest predator, unlocked the power of the ancients, and forged a bond that transcended time and space. And now, they were ready to begin a new journey. Epilogue. The human returned to their world, the power of the ancients flowing through them. They used it to heal the land, protect the innocent, and inspire others to reach for the stars. Their story spread across the galaxy, a tale of courage, unity, and the enduring power of hope. And though they were alone, they never felt truly alone. The bond they had formed with the alien remained, a guiding light in the darkest of times. For they had learned the greatest lesson of all, that true power lies not in strength or knowledge, but in the connections we forge and the legacy we leave behind.